Welcome to Almost a Podcast. This is your host, Mike, with my two fellow co-hosts here, Sean and Coltman.
Hello.
Lads.
Hello. Man, I clipped so hard. Are
These
you
two
awake?
sons of bitches.
Your 8 a.m. podcast on Wednesday. Let's go.
Wake up.
Wake
Hey,
up.
you.
That's right.
You're finally
People
awake.
to this at any time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I
So
never think about that.
before we start off, like on actual topics, and I need to get something off my chest.
Okay.
I made some steak over the weekend.
Oh, you texted us about this. Continue.
So it was a thick cut. I did let it sit. I let it sit in like salt for like 5 days. And like I used garlic salt and like coated the entire thing and just made it.
Oh,
like,
using
the
a special salt. I see.
It's garlic. It's garlic table salt. It's not like Himalayan bullshit.
not the
that
pink
you
sea
use.
salt.
It's literally something before the word salt. Therefore, it's a fancy salt.
Okay, shut the fuck up. I was too lazy to like cook up garlic with it, so I was like,
Right.
I'll use garlic salt. But
Maybe
took
it was room temp. It was not cold.
It was not.
Yeah.
It was not. No. It was cold. Unfortunately, I did not pull it out early. I pulled it out like 10 minutes before I was going to cook it.
Oh,
So
I see.
I didn't have time to
was
cool it
cold.
out, and that's why I had to use the oven. I had to
Steaks go in the oven.
stick it in the oven. I seared it all up, and then I whipped out the meat thermometer, and I'm like, the temp is like 70 degrees in the center of this thing. This is not going to be cooked all the way through. It's just not going to be ready. So I'm like, fuck. So I threw it in the oven for like 15 minutes at I think 250, just to like slowly like cook it on the inside, and that finally did the trick. And it turned out absolutely perfect. The aging was great because it
Exactly.
adds like some good beef flavor to it. And that salt pulls out excess moisture.
I don't think the argument was ever that cooking it in the oven produces a bad steak. It's just that it's
It's just that
fundamentally the wrong way to do it.
it's in Sean's
no,
words.
it's
In
just-
Sean's
it's-
words, it's baby mode.
It's exactly
literally the words
exactly what
he
it is,
used.
because I
it's not
didn't-
baby mode. It's the
It's
right
totally
way to do
baby
it.
mode because I should have lowered the temp on my pan and not pan fried it as much, or done it slower versus a
takes
super
less
super
skill.
high temp.
What does that mean?
exactly.
But like, who
Fact.
cares about the skill? It just matters about the good steak you get. For those who don't, who are
It's
new
the
to this,
journey versus the destination.
Yeah.
just real quick, for those who don't know what we're talking about, real quick, we have a big argument about whether you put oven
If you're cooking a steak at home, specifically.
Yeah, whether you put a steak that you're cooking at home in the oven or not, if you're like you're pan frying it, and this is like goes way back to one of our early episodes, but Mike and Sean
think
say
episode 8.
that's heresy, that's like baby mode, it sucks, you're an idiot, and I say the oven's the way. I'm pretty sure they do this at all professional steakhouses. You're wrong, and that's basically the history. So there, now you know. Now Mike has gone to the light side. He's now.
I have not seen the
solid
light.
Force user.
I just had to bitch out and not. I made the mistake of not letting it come up to room temperature beforehand. Because if it came up to room temperature, I would not have had to do that.
I still think it's
I
good to
would've-
put it in the oven because I like searing it just to get that caramelization of the butter on the top of the steak. Then the oven
really?
evenly cooks. I get it like a more broad pink center with the oven method over the pan fry method.
Yeah, I like it when you have that slight on the top bits. You have that slight crisp, like it's there's a little bit of like a little crispness almost to it.
Well,
I don't know how to
Like,
describe it, but
I get that. I get it, and I
you
like
get the
that
caramel,
too.
like the caramelization of the Maillard. Like you can
Yeah.
literally smell it. Like I remember taking that. I gotta say, when I took it out of the oven, I could smell like this caramel
So good.
smell coming off it. I was like, oh, I know that.
so good.
It smelled so good. And it's a perfect steak. Like
Yeah.
absolutely perfect. I hate it
Absolutely
because
perfect.
I make so much better steaks at home than I do when they go into a restaurant, right? Like I have to go to like a very high tier restaurant to get an excellent steak anymore.
You got to pay
I'm
like $100. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I can just like buy like a decent steak, even like a shitty New York strip from or like kind of a meh filet from like Walmart or something like that and cook it up pretty much perfectly.
Walmart. Ooh.
Yeah.
Walmart.
And it's
Yeah,
like-
that is low tier there.
It is, right? But then you cook it up well and it just turns out excellent. And
It's
you're like,
decent,
oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
For all the, argument I put forth on steaks, I hardly ever eat them. I don't really remember the last time I ate a steak.
That's kind of
Wait,
me
really?
too. That's kind of me as well. I since Carly doesn't eat as much red meat, I just don't get steaks as much.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's a
honestly
shame.
think the last time I ate a steak was when I was camping, and that was it. It's like
No.
and that was a while ago. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't do it. I don't think I've ever made a steak since I moved out.
Wow.
At home.
They're good, but a good
Really?
steak is a lot of money. Even just buying it from the grocery store. I mean, a tenderloin is like $20 for two
Yeah.
solid tenderloins. That's a lot of money.
That's
I could just
why-
make mac and cheese.
Yeah, that's why I get a New York strip usually, because I like the flavor actually better of New York strip.
I usually get New York steak strips as well. When
Yeah.
I do get them for camping, I get those usually.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we do like get that perfect sear on the fat side of it, and beautiful.
They're a solid.
But-
they're a solid, like middle ground, mid tier. Like
I just
quality.
throw everything in a cast iron, and then like stuff comes out.
At least
And
we're
it's
all
beautiful.
using cast irons, as we know that is the alpha male of all cooking ware.
I'm sorry, I have to admit I was using stainless steel.
Wow.
I think I've said this
Pathetic.
before. I don't have a cast iron right now. I've got a.
You don't? Oh, I missed
That's a
that.
you problem.
That is a
It
you
is.
problem.
It is a me problem. I have to admit.
They're
Right.
like $20.
Yeah.
Go buy
Here's
one.
the thing. Like I've told you right that my mom has like 100-year-old cast iron, and that's kind of like the one I want to have. Right. It's an heirloom from like my great grandmother.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a problem with having two cast irons, my
Yeah,
friend.
exactly. When one's
The more the merrier.
getting seasoned, you get the other one out.
Yeah,
you cook
if you're
something
like,
on it.
wow, this meal's gonna destroy this pan, throw it in that one and save the heirloom for the nice steak, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a fair point. I'll get a cast iron. I'll add it to my short list. Alexa, add cast iron skillet to the shopping list.
Is that a thing? Do you have Alexa?
Yeah, it's like out in the living room.
Dang, we couldn't hear
I would
it.
never have an Alexa.
Really?
Personally, no, I don't want a listening device in my
The
home.
guy
like
with
that.
all the smart devices doesn't have a smart assistant. Now that's
because he-
interesting.
that's
all
why he
my
uses
smart
Home Assistant.
devices are completely locked down and not
Yeah.
able to even talk outside of my network.
But man, like when you get when the Google Home has the power of Chat GPT, how are you not gonna get one? Like you can talk to that? That would be so awesome.
If we get some sort of Jarvis situation, I would consider getting one of these things, right? But I waste so many seconds by waiting for this thing to respond to me. I don't
You're
want
just-
to waste those.
That-
You're
that's
already
actually
there
true.
typing it in. It's like
Yeah.
inefficient.
I can type way faster than I could waiting. If we get Jarvis, sure, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Right?
For me, it's actually just the shopping list feature is really nice because I'm terrible about going to the store because I'm the type of person who likes to wander through stores, right? Be like, oh, I could use this. This sounds like good. And then I end up like buying more food than I initially have. I end up using it, but for the most part, it's like, that's why I limit myself to just a basket when I go to like a big grocery store just to carry that much. I'm not using a shopping cart. It's just a basket. But with the shopping list is so nice
Sure.
because it's like, oh, throughout the week, I'm like, oh, I need this. And I'll say, add it to the shopping list. And then it'll be added. I can check it. I'm like, these are the things I need to get.
I mean,
But if
how
I see
often
something cool-
is your phone not around you? Because it's
Because I don't want to add it manually to my phone.
But it's like-
much nicer doing that way.
Yeah, it's way more elevated
fine.
to add it from your voice. Like you
Elevated.
Yeah.
don't have to lift a muscle except for your mouth.
And I can be like doing things.
you could argue there's lots of muscles you're using.
Well, yeah, but like you're just
I know. I'm just being contrarian. No,
Yeah.
it's
Sean's just being an asshole.
he's just trying to
it's- I don't know.
counterpoint.
Personally, I'm not going to use the voice assistants until they're perfect. But
Yeah. And they don't sell
you
your
know,
data.
if you like them, more power to you.
Yeah. Here's the thing, like I've even like seen stuff happen where I'm like, oh, YouTube recommends something, even though I'm not even close to this voice assistant thing or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I think my data is being sold regardless.
Yeah, I think-
even though
I
I
think-
tend to lock stuff down really well, it's still like, oh,
Yeah. I think there's something
gone.
in the terms and conditions like against your will where it's like, yeah, okay, when you talk, we're listening, we're giving you that
Yep.
YouTube recommendation.
we're gonna sell your firstborn child
yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the terms and conditions that you
That's
sign.
the terms. If they decide to, they can take your child.
Yep. Yeah.
So I don't want that. I
Yeah,
just can
which is
distance
smart.
myself from that.
Using Home Assistant. Yeah. But besides that topic, the main topic I wanted to get to today was actually something I'm surprised we haven't really talked about much is like I think we've mentioned it on the side and like, oh, like this is a little side thing. Like, hey, we've done this in the past, but actually like hiking and exploring outdoors. It's just something we all really enjoyed doing. And we haven't really sat down and actually talked about some of our experiences and like there's these crazy hiking trips that I know we've all been on. So I think
just
Sean is
outdoorsy things that we like to do.
Yeah, that too. I know, Sean, you spent a lot of time hiking and outdoors.
Yeah, well,
basically all the time.
He grew up somewhere where
know.
you could do a lot of it, I feel like. Whereas
it
you
was
and I
weird.
might.
So,
sorry, go ahead. I'm interrupting.
Well, I was going to say, like, when I was in California, when I was growing up, all right, yes, I would, my parents would take us on, like, camping trips. We'd go to Yosemite, like, every year and a couple other things, right? But I didn't particularly enjoy camping as a kid. I thought it was fun, but I hated, like, hiking, and I just wanted to, like, do fun stuff that I didn't have to hike very far to or walk to see. And then when I went to college in Michigan, I joined the Outdoors Club, and because I thought, well, hey, I like outdoor stuff. At that point, I was into rock climbing, so I was like, well, maybe they have a thing there, and they did. And then you're in the environment, so you get used to other stuff. And then from there, I started just doing a ton more things. I think junior year, I was gone every weekend.
That checks
the
out.
School year.
Yeah.
But it's like, what do you want to do this weekend? I'm like, I'm gonna be up in the Upper Peninsula or so.
I'll be doing
some
something.
weird
in the woods.
place.
3 days hiking because you're gonna
It's
take
like, oh, I can't.
Friday
I'm gonna be
to
in West
Monday.
Virginia.
Yeah.
So that was super fun. And now I feel like a fake outdoor person now that I've moved away and am an adult now. Because I've only done last year I only did 4 or 5 trips last year. And I felt like I should have done more.
Oh, that's not fake. That's better than both of us, I think.
I was going to say, I feel like, since moving to my new spot, have hiked a lot, but I'm not doing these overnight camping trips like Sean is. And I feel like, Sean, that's what you constitute as like a true experience or like a trip is like when you go and hike / camp overnight.
That's true.
Carl and I just do not do that right yet. We bought a 2-person or we bought like a 6-person tent for the 2 of us to bring along.
Like true Americans.
Like true American, yeah, that's very American, like plus sized, right?
Yeah.
2 people in a 6-person tent.
Perfect.
Yep.
I want to try and do that this year. Maybe, honestly, Sean, since we live kind of close to each other, we should try to maybe coordinate something. Because I honestly, the only time I don't have much experience with camping. I did it very early in my life when I lived in the Washington State area, and then I did it with you when we went to Yosemite. But then we were talking about bear.
Oh, that was a super fun trip.
That was a great trip. But there was bear traps and stuff, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So the bears can just walk in and tap your little tent and be like, yo, where's the food? And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't really know how to deal with that.
Potentially.
Well, that's in bear territory, right? Not everywhere is bear territory.
Oh,
I was actually going to bring this up.
Okay.
I moved when I moved to Utah, and Utah has such a close proximity to so many national parks and other national parks than where I was in California. So I can drive to almost, I think the other a couple months ago for Memorial Day, I just thought, maybe this weekend I'm going to go up to Grand Teton National Park. And so I drove up there for several days. Mm-hmm. And, you can do the same thing going south and east and everything. And there's so much to do, and that's kind of why I feel bad that I haven't taken advantage of that proximity, to stuff.
Right.
But if we do a trip, Colton, at some point, we can definitely meet in the middle and do something.
That would be a good
easy. There's tons of parks in the area that are great. Either just camping at campgrounds or backpacking, which I don't think you guys are ready for yet.
Yeah,
I can do backpacking. So because I've done.
Well, I meant Colton and Carly specifically.
Oh yeah,
I know you're ready for you've done some backpacking before, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we need to. I feel like and I'll ask both of you guys this. I feel like we should be camping enthusiasts before we try a backpacking trip where you like combine the hiking and the camping, right?
What do you mean?
I just feel like we should know what we're doing with camping. We should be able to drive somewhere.
By you mean you and Carly? Or
Yeah. I feel like Carly and I should get used to camping, get all the equipment, go on a trip. Oh, we should have X item, this item.
You should enjoy car camping before you try backpacking, I think.
Yeah. I will say for Spain, we're gonna get those big the big backpacks that you take on a
just backpacking
trip probably to travel in Spain with over like a duffel bag. So we'll have that hardware. But yeah,
those aren't cheap.
Oh, well, you know what? We're gonna use it, so we'll buy it. But I feel like you're right. We should probably do some camping first before backpacking, or we'd have to do something very light. I don't really know. Like I feel like I'd be down, but
you could definitely do a light one, right? You by just hiking in a couple miles.
Yeah, a couple hour hike or something.
And then you camp for the night.
Yeah,
have dinner, and then you camp out the next day.
Yeah,
I did that in college when it was finals weekend, and I was like, "Yo, guys, it'd be really cool is if we hiked, if we started did a little backpacking trip."
And this is in the middle of winter too, right? This is
not
in the middle of winter.
Yeah,
and
winter
then
camping.
A couple people were like, "Heck yeah, let's do that." So I led that trip, and we only went in, probably 3 to 4 miles, and then. We were like, all right, it's freezing. Let's get dinner going and just set up tents. And then next morning we woke up and hiked out.
Well, that's
it was super
one
quick.
Insane thing about the States, right? Is I don't know how it is in other countries. I haven't backpacked in other countries. I've only done it in the United States. And here, if you can go to any national forest, which that covers a lot of the United States.
A lot of national forests.
There's a lot of forests.
Yeah. And you can go to any
or
national
a Bureau
forest.
of Land Management land.
It is okay.
A lot of land.
Yeah, but anywhere in a national forest, anywhere in the Bureau of Management, like basically public land, you can just camp. No permits, no nothing. You just go there. I learned that because
you're supposed to follow several guidelines, but yes.
Yeah. Don't be a dick camper, like leave all your trash around and stuff like that.
Not everybody knows this, Michael.
Really?
No,
I feel like that's common sense just to not leave your trash.
Not litter.
Common sense isn't common. All right.
But
sometimes it's not.
All right. So yeah, just don't litter. But I learned this because I took a trip freshman year out to Yosemite from Michigan with a group of high school friends, and we're like, we're gonna stay at hotels or something like that. We're poor college freshmen, so we decided to just camp the entire way. There's only 2 places where we parked a legitimate campground, but say when we got to Yosemite National Park, we're like, there's no space at this campground, obviously. So we parked in the national forest about 2 hours from the base of the actual valley, and we just parked in the national forest up in the alpine areas. We're like, this will work. It's right on the border, and you just park there. There's a perfect spot that people had obviously already used before.
Yeah.
And we just drove off to the main road and parked right. We had a 4-wheel car and just, all right, set up a tent, and we all set up our own tents, and but that was a great experience. Just basically camping the entire way there. Obviously this is car camping. So it's a little different than backpacking, but I've done backpacking as well, up in Montana, and that was 3 to 4 days each.
So I don't know how I got into it, but I started really getting into backpacking. And I love the gear aspect too, right? Because there's all sorts of products and things you can get for certain, however you want to specialize. If that's something you want to do. For example, I like to be lightweight, but I'm not one of the ultralight people, right? But I do try and get as light as I can, within reason. I don't shave my toothbrush in half.
Yeah.
To save the ounces, right?
Yeah.
But I will tally everything up to know exactly what I'm carrying and plan.
You try to have a tent that's a pound and a half or something like that.
Yeah, something light. I have the backpack I have is one of the lighter backpacks, and I don't know. When I first backpack trip I went on, I was severely underprepared, and it was winter backpacking as well.
Yeah.
Oh, go back.
I always remember that I couldn't feel my feet until the second day. Like you barely feel them, right? Enough to know that, gosh, they're freezing cold.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like,
But then I finally started to get like warm the next day. So that was pretty intense.
yeah, you were like surviving. Like that's like
Yeah.
survival mode.
Yeah. But then after that, I figured it out, and now
Yeah.
now I'm like super good.
Yeah.
I would say about planning for weather and terrain and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's the thing that
good.
blows me away is the winter camping. Like that's something I've not done yet. And that is
Oh, you
like,
should do it. I love winter camping. It's awesome.
how it's like I don't want to be like I've done cold camping like it got to around 26 when I was in Montana. You remember this is alpine, right? We're at 10,000 feet. And I remember like waking up and I'm glad I'm wearing like literally like clothes. Like I had like full like base layer on, like
Yeah.
long johns and long underwear, and I'm still cold. My feet are freezing, and I'm like, what the heck? And I have a 30-degree bag too, right? I have a 0.
Well, if you have a 30-degree
centigrade.
bag, then it's not the right bag for that weather.
Yeah,
Right? 'Cause
exactly,
that's
right.
The bag rating is the survival rating, not the comfort rating.
So this
Oh,
is like the
geez.
minimum. The bag
Yeah.
rating of 30 degrees is like you'll survive if it's 30.
Yeah,
but
you won't be comfortable,
You
right?
won't be comfortable.
So
Gosh.
if you're camping in freezing, which in American is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, then you want a 0-degree bag to be comfortable.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Because they rate it in Celsius. I'm assuming.
No.
Celsius and Fahrenheit, but if I say 0, it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I see. Gotcha.
yeah. I
Or
think
if you're camping in 32-degree weather, which is freezing, then you want Fahrenheit. Then you want a 0-degree Fahrenheit bag
I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
to be comfortable.
That
Yeah.
see,
And
I
we-
wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, and
Would have been
I don't
out
think we
there
were expecting
freezing.
that cold because this was August in Montana. And we're like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's
and we're like, oh, there's snow on the ground. Like, that's
Yeah.
actually that's not uncommon, but yeah. But yeah, my family, we like to do that every couple of years, head out there. Mostly because my grandfather spent so much time out there, but he'll take us. He's getting a little old now. His knees aren't what they used to, so it's hard for him to hike the distance. But yeah, it's a fun time. Now it's more log cabins we stay
Yeah.
in,
Log cabins are
which
good
is
too, though.
always
Yeah.
fun. Yeah,
I just like kind of being out in the woods. I really like woods.
I mean,
forests.
it's just like
Yeah.
nature. It's like, you just like
neat.
feel. It's neat. You feel a little bit revitalized.
Yeah.
When you get out in nature sometimes,
Yeah,
especially
and
with some
there's-
good friends. It's like, I don't know. It's a good time.
yeah.
Well,
There's
being
nothing like the
someone
alpine
who doesn't
air.
like being around people very much, the outdoors is great because there's very little people out there, and
just
depending on where you
bears.
go. I mean, some and depending on what time of the year, there's some national parks that are so popular now that it's almost like going to Disneyland at some of these places.
Yeah, I
At
feel like Yosemite's that way.
At Yosemite,
Yosemite
actually, though.
and Zion is.
Oh, is Zion that bad too?
Depending on time of the year, yeah.
Man,
They
yeah.
had to restrict one of the most popular climbs, which is I have mixed feelings about it, but I'm also glad they did it. Angel's Landing in Zion, because it was just getting too. And I've done it before they lottery did it. I've thankfully done it like 4 times, but all at times when there was not a lot of people. And I can only imagine. If I saw enough people on it, I would just say no. I'm not doing that
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
certain parts of it that are literally 3.5 feet wide, and it's 1,000-foot drops on either side. I wouldn't do it with those other people around because
Yeah.
I don't trust them.
No, you're saying
Yeah.
so. These are you roped in or whatever. You like.
You're not
harnessed
roped
up.
in, but there are chains that are like staked into the rock that you can hang on to.
So do you you have your little catch? Like if you fall, you get caught by your little harness and rope. So
No,
you like.
you're not hooked in at all.
Wait, is it like a climb, as in like rock climbing, or is it just
No, it's a hike.
hiking? Oh, it's a hike.
Oh,
okay,
it's a
all right.
hike.
It's
See,
a short hike, a very steep hike.
So I thought you were rock climbing.
Yeah.
And like I was
think-
like, you
I think I've
can't
done this
rope
one.
in.
Yeah, I think I've done Angel's Landing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a short hike, but yeah, there are like chains along the edges so you don't fall off.
I see.
Because
I see.
isn't the what's the name of the Narrows down there? Because Angel's
The
Landing,
Narrows is one of the hikes down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but isn't Angel's Landing right above like where the Narrows is? through
No,
Zion?
it's now the Narrows is back into the valley more, and
Okay.
Angel's Landing is kind of in the middle of it, give or take.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you guys.
A picture of the lines.
Oh yeah.
Well, no,
the
not
path.
the lines, but just some a short little video of what the chains look like, and I have it starting at the point in which there is the chains happening, but it's very sheer and it's not very far apart, and you're not hooked in. So if there's lines at all in this, I wouldn't do it.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I've seen
geez.
pictures that's just
Yeah.
absurd. You know?
Yeah, this is like, I can see a lot of people being sketched by this one.
Yeah.
It's
If you look up Angel's Landing, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
But
it looks
You're doing
really
it in
cool.
winter time.
oh, it's amazing! It's extremely beautiful. I love the hike. I wouldn't have done it 4 times. Yeah, it's definitely, if you have a chance to do it, I would do it. Don't be scared of heights when you do it, though.
Yeah. What kind of?
Yeah.
I mean,
You won't make it.
a bad note. I feel like I'm learning that I'm afraid of heights. The more high up and narrow I get on things, but I feel like I
Yeah.
got to do this. Where
It's honestly very stable. I mean, maybe that's just how I perceive things, but as long as you're sure-footed, you're not going to have an issue.
Yeah, I mean,
I did this, and there was ice on the
Yeah.
on the ground
Yeah.
occasionally, and that
might-
was I slipped once. And that was like
Yeah.
But I was I know how to handle falls and losing my balance, so I was more
Yeah.
or less comfortable.
what kind of elevation is that at? Are you at like an altitude where you're like, oh, you're a little bit more gassed, easier?
No, I think the valley. I'm kind of pulling this out of nowhere, but I want to say 4,000, 3,000 feet is the valley floor, and you go up 1,000 to 2,000 feet.
Okay, so it's not like hiking the 14ers in Colorado. It's like
No,
it's not quite that steep or
It's
exhausting.
It's not a long hike, actually. It's actually
Oh,
quite short. It's
okay.
only about 4 miles, I think.
4 miles. 4 miles like full.
4 miles for the full hike. So 2 miles up, 2 miles down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
But
would
it's
be
straight up and straight down
yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's pretty steep.
It's
Yeah.
a staircase. You're walking
It
2
is,
miles.
yeah.
You're
There's
walking
some
stairs. You're
intense
doing your stair
switchbacks.
steppers.
Yeah.
Getting those in.
But hey, it's fun.
Super worth it. And
Yeah.
there's so many different. I mean, in general, just to widen the topic a bit, the reason I like going outside and hiking and especially backpacking is because you can see things that you will not normally get to see, and most people won't get to see because there's no easy access to it. You just have to go do it with your own feet.
It is interesting, like the views you get from like a classic mountain hike in like Utah or Colorado is super eye-opening. You just get like addicted. That's how I felt when I went to Yosemite. I was like, whoa, this is like unreal. And when I went to Colorado and did the 14er, which is a 14,000 foot peak, we hiked like from 11,000 feet to 14,000 feet. It's like, whoa, this is pretty wild. Like you really like, and it's like the classic thing where just pictures can never do it justice. Like you can get some
Right.
really good shots, but the scale of it, the feeling of like being on top of the peak is just so gratifying, and it's like kind of addicting. Like you want to go up more peaks.
It's a good challenge.
Yeah, and
it's
it's-
good for you.
Yeah, it's a very good-
physically and mentally, I think.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
honestly, you could hike. You do these challenging hikes, and that could be your main form of exercise, and that would be an amazing kind of just hobby to keep yourself in shape.
Absolutely. I mean, do you remember the guy we saw at Quandary Peak, the 14er, when he's like this 60-year-old man and he's running up the mountain?
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just
He's keeping
and not
those
even like
knees in shape.
not even a jog, like actually
Trail
like-
runners
like a
are
s-
actually insane. So
yeah,
there's
like a
that.
strong
Okay.
sprint, not like a dead sprint, but like a pretty like decent sprint. Right?
I wanna-
And he's just going do 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 right up the mountain. And I'm like, what is this guy on?
I want to
right?
I want to.
Where I'm like huffing and puffing.
Yeah. Like, how is he doing this? I want to speak real quick because I'm gonna out myself here. I'm gonna dox myself. I live in Colorado, so I go on a lot of different peaks. I go on a lot of different hikes, and I will say the people running up the mountain, the trail, are crazy. I have met
Yeah.
a number of people running up the trail. And they're these big, burly guys, completely shirtless, wearing like spandex. That's all they're wearing in the middle of winter. and they're just like sitting there screaming, just giving themselves a pep talk. Like I remember me and Carly were walking up. He's like, "Come on, let's go." And he's like screaming this. He's like, "Let's go. Let's get up this mountain. I'm not going to quit because I'm not a quitter." And he's just doing that. And then he'll come up by people. He'd be like, "How's it going, man? Are you fucking quitting? I bet you're not quitting because you're a G." And he's like trying to give really motivational advice, but I'm also slightly afraid for my safety in the moment.
Yeah, because he's
It's
like probably what
this has
he's
happened-
250, and
Yeah.
he's like
Yeah.
he's like in your face, going like, "Are you gonna quit, bro? Are you gonna quit?"
Yeah, he's like, well, he's
Yeah.
running up with his dog. This has happened like 3 or 4 times.
That's great.
In on various hikes Carly and I have done. So it's pretty funny. They're crazy. I'm just reinforcing that idea in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's a
actually
different
want-
breed, really.
Yeah, it is. I actually wanted to ask this because, when I talk to people from outside the U.S. a lot, is they always like ask me like, "Hey, what would you do, like if you visit the U.S.?" I'm like, don't go to like big crazy like New York City or stuff like that. I mean, it's cool to visit, but you'll see American culture and stuff like that wherever you go. But like go to like someplace like Utah, right, where there's
Yeah.
no other place on earth that's like has the same kind of environment, right?
That's
Zion
what
Valley is one of a kind. Bryce Canyon is another great example. Obviously,
We
you
have a
can
lot
drive.
of nature that is really one of a kind. There's
Yeah.
kind of no way
the
about
red
Yeah.
rocks
getting
around
there.
there's nothing like it.
Absolutely. And that's like something you don't really think. I feel like I don't know, I don't have a lot of data, like personal data for this, but a lot of people that like come to America and they like think of LA or New York City or Chicago. They like think of like the cities, I feel like. Whereas honestly, we got some amazing like nature stuff. Like people on Reddit will post pictures of like these hikes in Colorado and Utah and Montana and all this stuff. And they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm in America hiking." And they're like, "That's in America? Are you kidding?" It's like something that's not really shared about America, I guess. Like it's not one of the main hitting points, but I would definitely, if I was visiting America, go visit one of like the mountainous areas, like Utah, Colorado, or like Montana. And I would go see those areas because they are very unique and they're so accessible. You can get a hotel in like Salt Lake City or Denver, which are the 2 major cities of Utah and Colorado, and you can get to the mountains in like a half hour. It's super, super easy.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting for Europeans is, and what I know a lot of them come over here to do is they do go to like southern Utah, northern Arizona, because it is just completely unique for them, right?
Deserty.
They have the Alps, right? They understand mountains. They
Yeah.
got forests, What they don't have is rock formations and deserts.
Yeah, that is.
In the central European continent or areas, right? And so that you'll get a ton of French people and German people in southern Utah and northern Arizona, just around there in the summer because they're like, "Wow, look at all these rocks!"
Yeah.
they just
Look at
don't
these
get them.
cool
So
rocks
unique.
with the red rocks.
Yeah, the only
Like Monument
place-
Valley, we're like in Forrest Gump when he's running down that road in the middle of
Oh
nowhere.
yeah.
That is called the Lonely Road, and or the Road to Nowhere. I can't remember, one of those two. And it's in Monument Valley, and those giant pillars of rock that are just out there are crazy. Driving through that whole area is nuts.
Yeah, I
Great
feel like
place
that's
to
why the road trip is such a common occurrence in the States too, right?
Yeah.
That's something I know my family did a lot as growing up. Is we'd be like, "All right, where are we going?" And we're going to drive there. One,
Yeah.
I like car culture is so essential, right? But when you talk
For
to Europeans,
Americans.
they're like,
Yeah.
"I'm going to drive 2 hours someplace. What the heck? Maybe I'll take a train." But
Yeah.
Why would I do
Well,
that?
they
Yeah.
have to deal with like the
terrifying.
traveling into a different country, whereas we don't really have to worry about
Yeah.
that for most, most
that's
of
true.
America.
Yeah.
So
I mean, with EU anymore, it's not as big of a problem. But you have you're going to a different country, and you're it's so car centric here in the States. Like, oh,
It
we're going to
is.
drive 12 hours or plus, right? Like, I have family in Colorado, and when my grandfather was alive, right, when I was in my youth, we every single year we'd do
Your youth, you are in your youth.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
okay, let's be real.
when I'm
We
like,
are though.
yeah, when I'm like my 10,
like
right?
your
Yeah.
adolescence,
childhood, yes.
childhood. Yeah,
My-
yeah.
we would go we drive out there, and that's like a 2-day trip, like about 18 hours of driving, and you drive all the way out to Colorado and then drive back to Michigan, and you're like, and it's like a once a year occurrence, and that was just like that's just normal thing, right?
Cool.
You talk to a lot of people
Just
around here.
normal
That's
American things.
just normal, yeah. I was going to drive somewhere.
Just American things.
Yeah.
Could start a whole
nuts.
thread on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool to have that opportunity, though. I mean, it's like one thing about America is the fact that we get like a lot of diversity in like landscapes. That's really cool, and it's something that I feel like, you know, it's not represented enough, and I feel like people should know that because it's a good thing to try and experience if you come visit here, or even if you live here, you know, go to Arizona if you're from Michigan. It's like a completely different vibe. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like different culture, like culturally too. It's like going to a different area.
Sometimes
right?
it feels like a different country. Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually
Definitely
does.
when I go to like the East Coast or West Coast, it's like, yeah, as a Midwesterner, I'm like, I feel like it's kind of like in anime when you have like
From the country.
the country person
Yeah.
going to the big city, right? And I totally feel like that. Obviously, like, I grew up in more of a city area, but at the same time, there's this huge disparity there.
Yeah.
I felt the
Sean-
opposite.
Exactly, you're the opposite.
Sean
yeah.
went to the
Because
rural
I grew up
areas.
basically next to a city
Yeah,
in the
you grew up in
suburbs, and then I
yeah.
go out to, you know, middle of Michigan. Like,
Like,
what
hey,
are all these? There's actual farmland in between the towns.
You're
It's
like
great.
there's
Yeah.
farmland like 5 minutes away from campus.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Not even like
Like,
that, like
whoa.
literally on campus. Like we're an ag
Yeah.
college, right? And Michigan State is an ag college. So there's literally part of campus is just like farms.
I could longboard along the farm, bro. Like,
I don't know if you want to do that. The
Yeah, that's
roads
something
are pretty,
I would have to drive several hours to see in California.
yeah,
I don't know, man. The roads are pretty shit in Michigan, so I don't know if I'd be longboarding along that. But
yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. I feel like it really goes unappreciated. I wish Michigan had more of that. I think Michigan's got some awesome stuff like lakes and such, but and obviously you have some as Sean can attest, some crazy hikes like along the coast, like on Lake Michigan,
yeah.
and Lake Huron as well as up north. But I wish we had more sites. I feel like Michigan's a very flat
I wish there was
area.
more mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, mountains
Very flat,
mountains
like you're
just
saying.
like increase my like I don't know, they just increase my happiness by like 10%. Like if you have mountains
Right?
in the background. Yeah. Honestly, living in Colorado, it's like, dude, these mountains are so cool.
I went to Texas for like a week, and the entire time I was just thinking, "Oh my god, how do you live here? Because it's so flat. It's
flat.
I couldn't see anything. I didn't know where I was. I was lost.
Desert, flat.
The only
like, there's
mountains were
nothing
made
there.
of concrete.
Not even that. I mean, they weren't even that tall. I was in not Houston. I was in.
Dallas. Awesome.
I was around Dallas.
okay.
But not like I didn't go into the downtown area, so it was just so expansive and flat. And for some reason, I felt Michigan was a bit more hilly than that. It was just
Okay.
super flat in
Yeah, well, Michigan,
Dallas area.
we got hit by a bunch of glaciers, right? So like, they created. That's why Michigan's one flat, and also just like how it's got weird like hills and stuff like that, as well as the Great Lakes. But yeah, like if you go to like the West Coast or the East Coast of Michigan, you get a lot more hills, especially if you go up north. You'll actually have like, you know, the remnants of ancient mountains.
Yeah.
but they have been just eroded by time. It's like hiking the Appalachians, right? The Appalachians are a little smoother.
Yeah, the little baby mountains. Like, you know,
I don't call the Appalachians baby mountains. They're mountain
Well,
range, but
I
Michigan
meant-
ones, the Iron
I meant-
Mountains, or Iron Mountains in up northern Michigan are definitely baby mountains.
yeah, I meant
or
the
like
Michigan
the
mountains.
the Blue Ridge Mountains. You know, those are big
Yeah.
mountains.
yeah.
They give you a little taste. Like, oh, do you think you like mountains? Do you think you might like mountains? Let's go there, and then you'll
Yeah.
you'll know.
And then
Yeah.
go to the Sierras.
then
You'll see
just
what
go
mountains
and
are
do
like.
it. Yeah.
Or just go to Colorado and see these like 14ers.
I've done a 7-day backpacking trip in the Sierras one time, where
Wow.
started in Mammoth, which is already up in the mountains at probably like 8,000 feet, and then hiked up. So in where I was, I don't know how I'm going to describe this, but there's on the east there is flat goes to a mountain peak and then comes down, and then there's a valley, and then there's another mountain peak, and then you're to the west of the mountains, and that's like the mountain range, right? Mm-hmm. And I had come in, I'm on the east side, hiked basically up and then down into the valley, and then we're messed around for a bit, and then we hiked back up and out, and that was brutal. I think we did like 3,000 feet in a day one time. Wow. And it was just
with a 50 or 60 pound pack.
Oh God, days? No! Oh. I would die if I had that. No, my dry weight is like, or base weight, as they say, is probably about 14 pounds. So at max with food and water, I'm usually only carrying 30 max, and that's heavy for me.
I mean, that's I mean, that is a lot of weight for a 3,000-foot hike.
Yeah.
It's still a lot, but I mean, there are definitely some people that will do the 50, 60 pack, and they're like, yeah, this is great. I can't do that, and there's no way I'd find that enjoyable.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was doing 45. I think it was a 40 or 45 pound pack when I was hiking in the mountains in Montana. And that's definitely like, I'm like, I'm carrying a lot. Well, I was carrying like the tent, right? So I was the guy getting stuck with the tent while the ladies didn't have to deal with that. So
yeah.
Well, typically as well, what you do is if you one person's carrying a tent, then someone else takes the poles, right? Because then the weight's actually even pretty much at that point. My tent, I can take the whole thing, and it's included in that 14 base weight, and it's fine, But that's the thing. I spend the money to get that low base weight so that during the hike, I'm not cursing the entire time, right?
Yeah.
Your legs aren't on fire.
Right. Yeah. It's more just inconvenience as opposed to...
It's definitely a lot. It's sort of like, I remember just sweating a bunch. It's sort of like my back. Oh, that was the worst. Just back
whenever you take... The worst thing about cold weather hiking, like they're backpacking in the winter, is when you have to put your pack back on after resting. Your back tends to be sweaty, so you put it back on, and it's really cold.
Yeah. Oh no.
Absolutely,
but then you get going again, and it's fine.
That's another thing is I haven't really appreciated until more recently is layering. Like I used to be pretty terrible about it, and I've gotten a lot better at it, especially just for
there's a whole science
weather.
To how to do all it,
Yeah. So in short, like you want to make sure, like I was good about like getting good socks, right? You always want to, like when you're hiking, have good wool socks because they have wick moisture and they're warm when wet, which is the big kicker, right?
They don't have to be wool, but you definitely want to have good socks that will cushion your feet.
What do you use different? I mean, I've always stuck with wool or a wool hybrid.
I buy almost for hiking exclusively Darn Tough socks.
Are those?
Which I'm not sure if they're wool or not.
They're just like engineered cotton, maybe.
Tough socks.
Darn Tough.
Material.
Shout out to Darn Tough.
They make the best socks. There's no question about it.
For everything or for just hiking?
For hiking.
Okay.
As I haven't tried any other socks, but hiking, heck yeah. I can't really tell what they're saying, but I think it's synthetic. I don't think it's wool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Okay. Engineered material.
So they use merino wool, which isn't a real wool, I don't think. Recycled nylon, spandex, and polyester.
Okay.
Yeah. Wool hybrid.
You're right in that wool is really good in the sense that if it is wet, it will still retain heat. Unlike cotton and most other like street clothes, which if they get wet, just leak heat like a sieve, and your heat evaporates through that, and then you're dead.
Yep. Especially in the wintertime.
Dead.
And like the one thing that for me was actually the wintertime. I'm like, I used to always sweat so much in the wintertime. And I'm like, why is that? And it's because I wasn't layering properly, where I was like, all right. And now I've been a lot better about getting like I do like a skin tight base, like wool hybrid base layer. And I've got some freaking awesome long johns that are also wool hybrid. I'm just like, wool hybrid, right? I think it's mostly smart wool as you might go to. and then have like a good like a fleece on top, right? And you're just like wearing the fleece, being comfortably cold. I think was the thing I heard.
Well, the idea behind layering is that you're gonna sweat, right, when you're working, so you're gonna sweat, and you want the moisture, which is the sweat, to be taken away from your body, so that the moisture isn't cooling you down; it's just getting out, right? And that way, the shirts and materials and layers can keep you warm still. If it's trapped inside, then it doesn't.
Yeah, and then once you take it off,
be warm.
like what we were talking about with taking off your bag, it's like, oh, now it's a bunch of this loose, water.
Loose water that's just gonna freeze.
Yeah, freeze.
And you put it back on, you're cold.
Yeah, or like evaporate into the air, and that'll just draw out so much heat. So yeah.
If I'm doing cold weather hiking, then I will have a short sleeve synthetic shirt, usually not on the tight side, but closer to, not loose. Then I'll also have a long sleeve synthetic, and then after that, if it's really cold, another long sleeve synthetic.
Jeez,
but otherwise,
synthetics.
just a fleece, right?
Dang.
So like a fleece of some sort. And then if it's again really cold, then I'll get either another windbreaker or a jacket after that, like a thicker layer after that. But the other thing that's beneficial with layering is as you hike, you get warmer, so you're not going to keep them on the whole time. And one of the things that happens all the time when you're hiking or backpacking is you'll start the trail all bundled up. You go about 10 minutes, everyone has to stop, take off a layer, keep going.
First rest break.
And then you do that a bunch. You do that until you become equilibrium as you're moving. And then as soon as you stop, you put your layers back on, and
I see.
It goes, you take layers on and off to regulate your heat in cold weather.
That is a whole science then, yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
These are all great things. I'm learning a lot from my first backpacking adventure in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're camping in the summer, though, none of that matters. You don't even need layers.
I was gonna say, it's like, isn't that just like shorts and t-shirt? Do you ever layer up to like, I don't know, like long sleeve it with cargo pants just for like utility, or do you just go shorts and t-shirt?
When it's hot out, I will have my shorts on, synthetic. When I'm hiking, everything is synthetic. I don't have a single piece of cotton on me.
Okay, gotcha.
Even if it is hot, and that's mainly because it doesn't trap moisture, right? So even if you are sweating, it still evaporates, and you're not carrying around extra weight in water essentially.
Yeah.
But I wear a long sleeve when it's hot, for the most part, and it's a ultra wicking, always cool to touch long sleeve thing. And I do that mainly just because I'm so pale.
If I don't do sunburn. Yeah.
I will just burn.
Yeah,
sure.
So
A little too Irish.
That's kind of what I have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I actually like long pants, mostly because hiking there's so much like brush, and especially in Michigan where you have stuff like poison ivy and poison sumac that's right along like calf height. There's a good chance you're about to rub up against that and be like, oh, now I'm pretty good. Like biologically, I'm fairly like, it doesn't bother me too much.
Sure.
But it's still a pain in the ass when you have like this giant rash on your leg from hiking. Yeah. Or worse, you like accidentally touch your leg, and then you're like, okay, I gotta go take a pee, and you're like, you're aiming, and then, oh wait, there's poison ivy on my leg. Yeah. And
not gonna have a good time.
I will
normally wear pants unless it gets too hot, in which case I wear like
I'm
like the dorkiest guy.
Yeah.
When I'm hiking, because I have the wide brim hat with the thing on the neck.
Yep.
And then I wear the convertible pants, right? So when I start hiking and I get too hot, so then I just take off the leg parts, and then I'm like, perfect.
You're like, stripper move, let's go.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you are really dorky. It's great.
Well, I mean,
it's great. I'm so functional.
Well, that's the thing. It's like sometimes the quote unquote dorky things are actually like, why do they exist? They have a function.
Yeah. Well, honestly, once I converted to those things, right? I got my pants, and then when I got my hat, it was a game changer, right? All of a sudden, I didn't need to wear sunscreen anymore.
Oh yeah,
because I hate putting that on when hiking, because then you're just destroyed for the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, as you hike, like on a 7-day trip, for example, you don't need sunscreen because as you go, you just get dirt caked on, right? And that becomes natural sunscreen,
Natural
right?
sunscreen, yes.
Gross. Yeah.
And
The oils from your skin after not showering for 3 days becomes natural sunscreen.
Yeah.
Just a reflectant.
So I don't even need that anymore. It's great.
God,
Big plus for me.
That is probably the worst part about hiking, I gotta say, is like you go 7 days, or I guess my guess is like 4, and you're like, I have not showered. And like usually when I'm hiking, it's the water is 30 or 40 degrees. So
Just gotta suck it up.
Chance that I'm not jumping in that water.
When I was up in the Sierras, we camped at several alpine lakes, and we were able to you get a little washing off in there, and that's pretty nice.
But yeah, it's
Like,
not
It's
too like a sponge bath. It's not like a
Right, you're not taking a shower, but I think that's part of the fun is when you come back from a trip, right? And then you take your shower. Then it's just the best
It's
feeling.
like catharsis.
Like, oh,
Yo, finally clean. The layers of dirt have washed away.
Yep.
Yeah.
You like just like cover yourself with an entire jar of soap. Just like remove every single like.
I would
layer
just be in the
done.
shower. I already take like half-hour showers. I'd be in there for an
you get there for an hour and a
Oh
half.
yeah. Oh yeah. I
Yeah, I'd just
definitely
be like, let's like get rid of all the hot water in my boiler. Let's go right now.
right. Or that's lucky if you have one, right? If you're doing like a log cabin, coming back to
That's true, I guess, yeah.
You it's either you have moderate electricity, right? Or like I think Sean, you've done a no electric cabin, right?
Yeah, I've done a rustic cabin several times where there's just no electricity.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Gotta grab.
That's awesome.
Gotta make the
That was
fire.
a ton of fun.
Make the fire.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Honestly, we had to because we would do the winter rustics, and one of the years I was like the fire tender. So throughout the night, I would wake up like every couple hours, and I go put a new log in, and close
really?
that. Because otherwise, everyone would freeze.
What would happen? So what would happen if you just
Freeze to
put
death.
a lot of logs in to last the whole
It doesn't
night?
fit. I mean, what do you mean?
Oh, it doesn't fit. Oh, I was like, maybe.
It's like a little
It's
cast
not an
iron.
open pit. It's like a furnace stove thing.
Yeah, limited
Yeah.
space.
So-
I see.
Limited space.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved those trips. It was so much fun being in a rustic cabin with like just burning wood, and you do on hikes in the morning, and
And like 30 people.
yeah, it was tons of fun. I would totally do that again.
Yeah, gotta find like a group in your area that will do that. I don't know
I
how.
gotta find a rustic cabin and see if there's anything
I was say
here like
I
that.
don't know if there's any cabins really. Utah's a cabin.
I feel like there's mountain
I don't know.
cabins
There
out
are
there.
big forests here in the
Yeah.
northern
Yeah,
side.
there's
of
got to
the
be
state, so-
something.
Yeah, and if you go up to Wyoming, which is not
Oh,
obstacle jump.
Wyoming. Yeah. I want to go to Wyoming.
Yeah, it's like that. One of the things that's great about being in Utah is it's so close to everything, right? Or very close to a lot of things at
Yeah.
least.
A lot of like outdoorsy things. Like the best hikes you'll have in the US, you got a lot of them. A lot of them on your short
Yeah.
list.
Definitely got some
Absolutely.
good stuff.
So,
I'm excited to do
Tetons.
more, honestly, in the future. There's I'm trying to remember. There was something I wanted to bring up regarding outdoorsy stuff, but I can't remember what it was. It was on tip of my tongue like 5 minutes ago.
No cooking? Was it cooking related? Do you have your
Oh, we could talk about cooking because I have two mindsets because right, I do the car camping and the backpacking, right, and they're completely different mindsets in how you cook.
Wait,
right?
okay. I have a quick question before you dive into it. Do you guys do is it like the dehydrated food? Like what people would mostly consider space food? Is that what you guys take on your backpacking trips?
Sometimes.
Yeah, usually that would be we'd have a lot of that. At least in my fam, we were mostly dehydrated, and then a lot of PB&Js. Basically, have like a peanut butter
PB&Js.
sandwich.
Yeah,
and
that's-
you stack about 5 of those in there. You have like maybe some ramen or something light. But like the PB&Js, like our lunch was usually like a sandwich, like a high calorie sandwich, like just a peanut butter sandwich.
Peanut butter
or
sandwich,
something
yeah.
like that. Peanut butter banana sandwich. And then it would be at night. We would do like once we set up camp and everything like that. You get the dehydrated food out, and then we'd go. All right, put that in and put it in the pot and make it. Like beef stroganoff was the classic.
Okay, yeah.
Stroganoff is a
I
good
still
one.
remember the flavor of the dehydrated beef stroganoff. It's
Not
almost better.
all of the dehydrated stuff is good.
No.
Some is really good.
The
Right.
beef stroganoff was
MSG.
amazing. Yeah. Yes, the MSG in it was.
Yeah.
I tend to go all out or I tend to try and go as fancy as I can.
Yeah.
Whether backpacking and or car camping.
The best food you can.
Because why not? And it's not like it's going to be a 5-course meal, right? But it's going to be fancy for the occasion, like making the steaks with the fresh veggies and stuff like that during car camping and stuff like that. But backpacking, I will. It also depends on where I am, right? Because sometimes you're restricted in container size.
Yeah.
If you're in bear country, then you have to have storage. All your food has to fit in a certain container size. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily, you can't fit everything in there. But depending on that, I'll do like I've had udon out in the backpacking. I'll do ramen. I will do 1 or 2 of the dehydrated meals usually. But I don't know, lunches, I've taken avocado and cheese and tortillas. Is a great lunch. I've done that. There's, what else have I done? I don't know. Then there's snacks, right? So like trail mix, great snack. Pringles, great snack. Take it out of the can and just put Pringles in a bag. Awesome snack. I mean, the Pringles actually are super high calorie density.
I feel like I'd be into those Cheetos for the snack. The chip replacement. I love Cheetos. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, chips like the crisps or chips are really good for us.
Yeah. Well, Pringles specifically because of the calorie density, but
okay.
There's and they taste good. But I think you guys definitely have to make it fun, right?
Yeah.
If you're just eating dehydrated stuff, I mean, if you enjoy it, that's one thing, right? But if you're like you're doing it just because you think that's what you have to do, don't do that. You can carry anything you want. As you can take anything you want. You just gotta carry it. That's
You just gotta be aware.
You gotta carry it with you, and you have to carry
weight.
it back, right? Either in your stomach or in a container, right? Or
I've even done steaks while backpacking.
Yeah.
Seriously? That's nuts.
I brought I have a tiny grill, not a grill, like a griddle. What do you call it?
Yeah.
It's a weave, a metal weave thing. Super tiny. It fits one steak, and I can put that over a fire. So if I start a fire out there, then I can make a little steak, and it's awesome. That was really good.
Yeah.
I ate that with just a knife and my fingers.
Isn't that the one we talked about this on a previous podcast, maybe 40 episodes ago or so? But yeah.
Oh,
yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, you did eat it with just your knife because you lost your fork.
Extremely cold. The fire almost went out several times. It was,
Oh,
but
boy.
one of the best steaks I've ever had.
Yeah, I bet.
Probably because you're so hungry and you're like,
maybe.
Yeah, I bet. Man, when I'm hungry and after a big hike, it's like the last thing I'd want to do is make a steak and like wait for it to cook. But the reward of eating it at the end of it would be amazing.
Yeah. Honestly, the best food is right after like you get back from a hike and you're like kind of exhausted and you've already had you've been stuck on that, diet for a while and you're like, oh, like I remember we did a hike and then had it was like the day after we decided to catch this is Montana, catch brook trout. Caught about 60 brook trout, which are pretty small. They are about 9 to 10 inches long, and you'll have like I think I remember eating like not 10, but at least 7 or 8 of them individually, and there's like 6 or 7 of us, and we just split them, and that was an excellent meal. Not just because of
you can just
their excellent
use natural
brook
stuff.
trout. Yeah. Well, we cooked it at the cabin, and we were just like, all right, cook them up. And then, it was
when I was in the Sierras, we just hiked next to a stream and set up camp there. And then one of the guys brought out a little fishing pole and fished some fish, and then cooked those in the fire as we were out there.
Oh,
Nice.
so
So we had like little
That's
pans.
sick.
Because you can take all sorts of things backpacking, right? I was telling you about all the gear they have. There's tiny little pans and big pans. I mean, if you can carry it, you can use it. That's the whole thing. So
I think Sean's the most ready for the zombie apocalypse.
Oh yeah, he's got
like
survival equipment.
He's like, I'm just gonna go up into the mountains for whenever I want to come back. Just drive up there. I've got I can go fishing or whatever, and
I think I mean, slightly different from food, but one of the things I most like about outdoors, going like camping, whether it be car camping or backpacking, although backpacking even more so, is just the simplicity of it. Mm-hmm. Like, you get into your routine, day to day, right? But you can do anything, there's so many different stimulus and things, and I go see a movie, I go to the store, I talk to friends, all this stuff, right? But when I'm camping, I don't need to think about what I'm doing tomorrow. I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm getting up and I'm hiking, And in the case of, or I'm, looking at reading a book or something peaceful. But in the case of backpacking, it's even more so. It's like, what am I doing today? What am I doing tomorrow? I am waking up and walking the whole day and then going to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Very simple life.
To me, that's
And surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's like without the pressure to I don't know, do anything. It's like bringing it back to the roots of human civilization. Just you wake up, you do what you need to do to make it to the next day, and then you're good. It's like backpacking is the closest. Well, it's not the closest you can get to it, but in a comfortable way, it's kind of like it's just very easy, like you're saying. It's very
Yeah. Bring you back to your roots of just being simple, a tribal member of a tribe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Member of a tribe.
Now, have you guys ever done the? Do they have, if you wanted, for people who don't want to camp for real, right? Who want electricity? Who want
glamping?
Glamping. That's the word. Is there glamping by you, Sean, and by you, Mike? I haven't sought out
glamping is
this.
literally just.
Having a
glamping is a
Tesla.
disappointment.
as camping without many hardships, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not
And
as fun. I think that's my opinion on that.
If you have a shower and you have a solid roof over your head, it's glamping. Like an RV is glamping to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
Camp, if you're I wouldn't say you're camping or even glamping if you're staying in a cabin that is just nearby stuff. You're just renting an Airbnb somewhere,
in the woods,
staying in a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a rustic cabin, then you get into less of the.
Yeah, because you got to chop
that.
your own firewood at that point, right? It's actually some effort.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it's effort.
I like that experience. The idea of chopping my own wood to sustain the cabin. It's still, protected area where.
I cut down a tree once.
Did you actually? Was that?
Yeah.
Were you allowed? Did you know if you were allowed to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
you
It's
can.
I need
if
firewood.
it is-
I need to chop this tree.
If it's dead standing, you can cut it down.
How do you know if it's dead standing though?
It's dead.
It's dead.
Well, I cannot identify
It's
a dead
usually pretty
tree.
obvious.
Well,
one
okay.
of the
Has
key
no leaves
ways
on
is
it.
if you take a knife and scrape away at the bark to get into the tree, it'll be dry on the inside.
Okay, yeah.
And you won't have there's a bit of a green layer of plant in between the kind of core wood and the bark. And if that is not there and there's no green, then it's dead.
Oh, it's dead.
Yeah. And if it doesn't leak
if
any
the
kind of
branches
sap.
have fallen off in the up
Yeah.
up in the canopy, it's dead.
Yeah.
So I cut down one of those one time for firewood.
Nice.
That's pretty awesome. I've only chopped firewood.
It's like-
never done the chopped down an entire freaking tree. That sounds like a blast.
Just imagining the forest, when we're playing the forest. It's you got your little hatchet. You're
just like that.
boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, without the
Although
monsters.
I'm assuming
the
it takes a
tree was,
little bit more than. Okay.
That big around. This is like the size of a melon.
Oh,
diameter, I would
it was
say.
a thin guy. It was a thin
Thin,
boy.
thin little tree,
Yeah.
but that's perfect for firewood because you take that, you saw it a little up, and then you chop that, and then you have a bunch of good firewood
Yeah.
pieces.
I'm assuming it didn't take 3 hits like it does in the forest.
Yeah.
No, it took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the forest
and
in
using an
Valheim
axe,
I was
right?
thinking of.
No, I had actually that trip. I had I have a chain saw,
Oh yeah. The chain cutter.
and then I also
thing?
have
Yeah.
just a small saw, like a folding saw,
Mm-hmm.
and then I also had at that point I had my knife, which the knife is a big enough knife where if you take that on top of a piece of wood and then you take another piece of wood and you hit the side of the knife, it'll split the thing. So that's generally how
Yeah,
I'll do that.
your Bowie knife.
It's not that big, but it's a good size knife for like splitting wood and stuff like that. Cooking steaks.
Yeah.
Done a lot.
Eating with.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun. Yeah, Colton. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I would
You should get out there, man.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about these experiences.
I wanna try it. I'm really excited to try it. We're gonna camp. You know, it would be fun if we could all maybe get together, and our first camping experience could be with like both you guys. You know, that'd be cool.
The expert, the novice, and the I guess I'd say the
like intermediate guy.
More like the adept, the apprentice, and the novice. There you go.
I have I'll suggest this to you later, Colton. But I have a great location that we could go camping.
Ah, okay, cool. Is it like a middle ground where we both live? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's roughly middle ground.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. No, that'd be cool. I'm excited for these like the spring and summer to come around, to kind of do that kind of stuff. Because
honestly, the best time is right before spring summer, right? Because there is prime season for national parks and forests and things like that.
Yeah.
And you want to go before then, just before. So
it's
it
not
is
busy.
a tiny bit colder, right?
Yeah,
but that means there's going to be way less people. There's no lotteries to get into things. And some national parks are restricted during the day, and you have to like entry limits, right? Nowadays.
Yeah.
So if you're in the off season, you don't have that. You can just go in whenever.
And isn't it usually cheaper
True.
too?
It's not cheaper. Although, honestly, when I go to national park, if I don't have one in, like, if my year has expired for the national park pass, I just buy another park pass, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
they're gonna use it
chances
so much.
are I'm going to go again. And if I don't, then I'm giving money to the park system anyway, and that's fine.
That's
with me,
something you're
right?
okay with, like supporting kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
Now-
like $80 for a park pass for a year, as opposed to $30 to $40 for a day pass.
Gotcha.
For most of the parks.
Is this one of those things where if you show up, they have like a little kiosk thing, and you can't get into the park without like paying or showing them your pass?
I mean, there's just roads into the park, and the main road has a little hut, and then you stop there and you pay the fee, and then you go in.
What if you just like don't
That's
pay
how
the fee?
it works in most parks.
What if you just like keep going?
I imagine they send the park rangers
The police
after you.
after you. You're like,
Give you a ticket?
nope, get them out, get them.
The FBI. And
Fair enough.
This is a federal park, man. You're on the FBI most
I mean,
wanted
there
list.
are some places like in Canyonlands, right? Canyonlands is a very big park, and there are some places that are 4-wheel drive only, and there are entrances to those areas that are not through any gates, right? You just have to go off the highway and drive far enough, and you're in the national park, right?
Yeah.
The reasoning what you're supposed to do in that case is you're supposed to purchase like a ticket ahead of time to say, all right, I'm going to be on this route from this time to this time, you know, and do it that way. That's usually cheaper than going into the park because you're only on a specific like off-roading trail, for example.
Yeah, I gotcha. Did we have to?
Or if you're backpacking in a park, you would get a backcountry permit for the most part.
Yeah, gotcha. Did we have to pay when we went to Yosemite, Sean?
I had a park pass.
Oh, you had a
so
park pass.
yes.
Okay, because I was like,
Yeah.
we definitely slept outside of Yosemite when we went, but
Well, we
getting in-
drove through it to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys
did.
park up above Half Dome?
Park? No.
We did like a couple. We went to Sequoia. I'm pretty sure we like camped in Sequoia that day when we did that.
Okay.
And then
Like
we
on- like
also
between Sequoia and
No, I think when we got there, it was so busy because it was 4th of July weekend.
well, yeah, we went on
Oh,
to
yeah,
like
yeah.
July 4th to Yosemite,
So
and
dumb.
then we like waited in line for like 4 hours, and we're
Just
like
the entire day.
we're not
We
getting
drove
in.
out.
We're not getting in. So we left.
So we drove in the south entrance and then went out the west entrance, camped right outside of there, and then that day went into the park, did our thing in there, and then we went out the, I believe, east exit to Sequoias, south or east exit to Sequoias, and camped around there. But that was dispersed camping. We didn't actually like have a designated campsite.
Yeah.
which honestly is that's the way to do it.
Dispersed camping is great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the
Don't pay
bears.
for it. Just Yeah, well, there's going to be
Bears,
bears there's campgrounds. Literally, so the last time I was in Montana, the day before we got there, guy got mauled to death in the campground, like not like 2 miles from our
Dang.
log cabin. So,
crazy.
yeah.
Well, the bears in Montana are a bit intense. Yosemite bears are pretty chill. You know?
Black bears, yeah.
Well,
I think there's only brown bears.
black bears.
Only black bears in
Okay.
Yosemite.
Well-
Whereas there's definitely grizzlies up in Montana.
Oh, absolutely.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're taking them out.
Also, remember that I'm fairly certain the statistic is that black bears kill more people, and you're more likely to be predated by a black bear rather than a
Really?
grizzly bear. Yeah,
Did not know this.
but
what I
they're
know
also more
is-
widespread. So black bears are
Yeah.
on the East Coast, right? Like we have black bears here in
Gotcha.
Michigan. So
I think the rule is with a black bear, you make noise, make sure it knows you're there, and then it should stay away from you. That's usually the thing, as long as you don't have a ton of food on you and stuff like that. With a grizzly bear, you never know what it's gonna do, right? It could just say, you know what, screw this guy, and try and kill you.
It's like-
There's no rhyme or reason to what they do.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yep.
cat. It's like you never
it's
know.
like
it.
a 500,
It might want
600
pets.
pound just
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to carry bear spray, I mean.
Oh
if you
yeah,
carry
bear
it,
spray is
yeah.
the thing. Yeah.
or a big fucking gun, one of the two.
Would a gun do
Even
that
then,
much?
like I don't think unless you get a really lucky shot, you're not stopping it before that thing tears into
Yeah,
you.
yeah. You need like a You need
You need to
something
get a
big, too. You need,
really
like,
good buckshot to the
What?
brain.
yeah, you
Otherwise,
need a
Yeah.
headshot for sure.
otherwise you're going down.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've seen some crazy videos of bears going after people.
I've been around like 4-ish bears in my
Really?
my hiking times.
I have fed a bear Fruit Loops once.
Was this a wild bear?
This
I'm
was
expecting not.
definitely in the UP where they like have baby bears and you can have it sit on your lap for pictures. They have baby black bears. They'll like put it on your lap. Like here you go.
Wild.
Yeah,
That's both adorable, also kind of creepy too.
kind of weird. Yeah, it's like
'Cause I
kind
feel
of
like,
like
what are they going
That
to do
seems-
with
yeah,
the
it's kinda
adults? Because the adults are like, that means they're releasing adult. Are they going to release the adult
I
bears?
think-
And that means they're used to humans, meaning they're more likely to attack people
I think they
because
have,
they're
like-
so used to humans.
I think they have like conservation like gated areas where they like release the adults and they make them have kids and they're like, all right, this is our like money maker here, the child, and then
Okay.
the adults will die. That one will grow up. The cycle continues.
That's so
Okay.
weird.
Yeah, pretty weird. I will agree.
No, that's
Yeah, humans are
I
weird,
like
man.
that.
Yeah.
Outdoor, cool.
Cool. Yeah, they are cool.
Outdoors is cool. Yeah. Again, if you're from outside the United States and you're listening in, we recommend don't just go to some big city like New York, Chicago, Miami, LA, right? Go someplace, out in the backcountry because it's exceptional.
That's like
Or if you're
like
even
half of America. Like
in
America prides
you
itself.
should go try it.
on its
Most of
country.
America is
Yeah.
yeah.
You,
This is
you get
backcountry.
you get country music. You gotta experience the country, and I'm not saying go to like freaking Nashville. All right, you gotta go to the actual country. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely worth it.
Actually, I mean, Nashville's a good area. It's,
Backcountry.
Nashville's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool, but it's not country. It's like that's not what people mean when they say, "Yeah, I like country" or the country music.
If you want to go out of the way, go to like Theodore Roosevelt National Park. That place in the middle of nowhere, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
all right.
It's got a couple things there. It's not exceptional, but
Yeah.
it's a unique area in an otherwise very boring plain area.
yeah.
I'd say
for
the same
sure.
thing with Hocking Hills State Park in Ohio.
Oh, that's
The
so right.
Area
yeah.
around Cincinnati and like Ohio is the most boring place on the planet, right? I'm saying this from Michigan, right? One, there is a bit of a rivalry.
Kansas wants to have a word.
Yeah, but Ohio, like, there's a reason Ohio is memed to death, right? And it's well deserving. Even people from Ohio will be like, yeah, we get it. But Hocking Hills State Park is like this beautiful like rose in the center of this desolate plain that is Ohio, or desolate cornfield that is Ohio.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually it's cool. I gotta say, I
Yeah.
think actually Ohio gets randomly like while it is not top tier, while it is still like D tier, there are worse states. Like you have Hocking Hills, you have like 2 to 3 good cities in Ohio. I don't know.
2 to 3.
Cincinnati's not bad.
I mean,
but
like, there's like
stay
decent
with-
spots. Like,
Columbus and Cleveland, you can stay away
again,
from those.
it's like Kansas. What are you doing there? Like, you're just driving somewhere else. That's what you're doing in Kansas.
That-
Like,
Kansas
Yep.
City isn't even in Kansas.
I actually didn't
That's
know
how much
that,
I didn't
really.
want to be there. It's
Dang.
like trying to move out of Kansas.
See, that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like at least you have these couple things in Ohio that make it
Right.
fun. But
it's funny because
I've
like
been to the only interesting thing in Kansas, which is a stretch, which is like a stretch of maybe quarter-mile stretch of land in the dead middle of Kansas that has large spherical rocks that exist, and no one knows
Giant
how they
balls?
got there.
oh,
No, they weren't. They weren't. They're just these big rocks, and they're clearly attached to the ground in a way that they weren't like placed there, you know. But no one knows how they're there. It's the only interesting thing.
huh. Well,
Look up big spherical rocks in Kansas, and you'll see what.
and that's all you
Kansas
need to know.
big balls. All right.
Kansas big balls. Big balls in Kansas help.
Yep. No, that's really cool. But all right. And I think on that note,
With the big balls
thank
in
you
Kansas.
for listening to Almost a Podcast. Make sure to do the classic, like, follow, subscribe, all that bullshit that, it's kind of obligatory at this point.
Yeah, don't do that. That stuff sucks.
Get off of it. Get off of it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Hit that dislike button.
Just,
I want
she'll tell
dislikes.
you
We have
don't
no
have one.
dislikes.
Right. Yeah. That's right. YouTube got rid of it.
Oh, that's
Spotify
true.
doesn't even have one. Yeah. So no. Thank you so much for listening. And one day we'll get there.
Yeah.
Peace out, y'all.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Bye.